recap on something I said last week regarding the vein of every singer, the breathing. This is the most difficult part to obtain. And as I said before, it takes years to be able to do it properly and to work it into your singing. Now, the first one was the Bernoulli effect, which means to breathe into the chest, high chest clavicular, and breathe out. Now, you must breathe out because your ribs can't stay out, and eventually the vocal cords flood, and you have to push harder and harder and harder to get any sound at all. But most people today seem to think that that's correct. It's not. It's incorrect and very bad. Secondly is abdominal breathing with your abdomen. Now the breath can only go into your lungs. It can't go into your belly. But what you do push out is the abdominal wall, like so. And then pull it back in, thinking that's support. It's nothing of the sort. It doesn't work. All it does is causes subglottic pressure, makes it too hard for you to sing. The correct way is the diaphragmatic intercostal, which means the diaphragm goes down 2 inches, the ribs go left and right, laterally, so the diaphragm vertical, the ribs go left and right. That's the correct way to in-breathe, and that is held comfortably, very comfortably, not let it go like that. Not hold it out tight, just a nice in-breath, and then your epigastrium will feel full. That's the feeling of fullness, with the internal and external intercostals and obliques out, and then going back in, so you've got this sort of a situation. And as you're singing, it will take out the exact amount of breath that it needs for that note. You don't need to push or pull anything. So I think that's good enough for this lesson. I hope you understand what I've said to you, and we'll be back in just a second. In our throats, we have vocal cords. And you've often seen people when they're singing with their veins standing out in their necks. Everybody's seen that. In your throat, you have sternocleidomastoid muscles that run from your ears down to your breastbone. Now, they're not the ones that stand out when they sing. It's the false cords right beside them that stand out, and they're squeezed. And those squeezed false cords are the ones that are responsible for the veins of the neck standing out, as we've all seen. If you were to hold your hands, your fingers out like that, I don't know if you can see this well, and pull on them like that, you'd feel that the cords are elongating, but there's air going through them, causing sound. That's what they like to call gola aperta. It means an open throat. But if you were to take your hand and wrap them around your fingers like that and close them, that's when you get that squeezed or pressed sound. That's when the false cords are being pressed and squeezed. Now, a couple of things I'd like to mention too apart from that. The sound must always be away, as far away from your neck as you can get it. Which means, as we discussed last week, back of the vertical. So there's your vertical, and the sound goes back like so, past the back of your head. Those high notes should feel that they're going outside around the back of your head. They're not being forced forward or pushed. As I said last week, You cannot propel or force your voice to go forward. It must, as you speak, go backwards. So we must sing as we speak. There is no singing without saying. There's no saying without singing. You must be able to sing as you speak. I'll sing in a little while. You know, if you were to take an elastic band, put it around your thumb, take your thumb and first finger with the right hand and pull very gently and let it go, and pull very gently back and back and back, let it go, back, back, back. You'd have the feeling of your voice going into the back of your head. That's the feeling of it. So it is not a feeling of driving your voice forward. As I've said many times, you cannot do that. It must go back. Back, 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 okay? Now, as I said, there is no singing without saying, no saying without singing. There was a thing going around of speech level singing. Now, I don't want to say too much about it because it's taught all over the world. However, I would like to say that you cannot speak at a level by pushing your larynx down. You cannot do it. All you'll do is horse yourself up every time you try it, and you've got to be able to put that voice back into the arc of the palate. So your uvula is where the voice should go, right away from your throat. It goes to the arc of the palate. That's what the Italian masters meant when they used to say appoggiare, meaning to lean, but they're talking about a lean back at the palate. So the higher you go, the more your voice has got to go back. Now, that gives you resonance in the head. Your voice will join itself up. You don't have to push anything. You can sing all day and all night, and that's the way it's got to be done. So the arc of the palate, so the voice goes backwards. It's when you speak, that's the reason you can't feel your voice in your throat. Even though your vocal cords are there, the sound's being produced here. Okay? Now, vibrato. I want to mention vibrato because everybody says on all these television ads, oh, look, you know, you can put vibrato on here and vibrato on there. You cannot. Vibrato only happens when your voice is alive and free and coming from your face. That's vibrato. You cannot put it on at all. That's just simply ridiculous. Be back in a sec. I'm going to show you an exercise that will teach you how to breathe into the back. Most of your breathing space in your lungs is in the back of your lungs. That's what happens with this COVID disease. It gets into the back of your lungs and it causes pneumonia. And that's unfortunately what kills a lot of people. So this is an exercise that I'd like you to try. Now, a lot of people can't breathe into the back. A lot of girls can do it a long way better than the boys. For what reason, I don't know. But here it is. All you do is you sit on a chair right on the edge of the chair. Don't sit with your back into it, sit on the edge. Put your hands on your knees or your elbows on your knees and your hands under your chin. Now that will stop you from breathing clavicularly. In other words, it'll stop you from breathing up into your chest. It'll force you to breathe broadly and all round a 360-degree breath. Okay? and you breathe through your nose. Breathe in for 4 or 5, as in 5. Hold for 5, and breathe out for 5. Do that 2 or 3 times a day and get used to breathing in your back. Okay, now look, we sit on the chair. Do not sit to the back of the chair, sit to the front. That's very, very important. As close to the edge as you possibly can, without falling off, of course. Now, you put your elbows into your knees, your hands under your chin, and you breathe through your nose. Now, you'll notice that it's very, very hard to breathe claviculi. In other words, up into your chest. So you'll find that you'll breathe circumferentially around the body. Okay? Through the nose. In for 5, let's say. And you'll feel that your body will widen all around. And that's how you breathe very low. Now, that's a low breath, okay? Now, all you do is you breathe in for 5 through the nose, hold for 5 counts, and then through pursed lips, breathe out. That's all you have to do. That teaches you to breathe into your back. Or another one is you can just put all 4s on the floor, hands and knees on the floor, and breathe into your back like that. Straight up into your back. Try and make your back rise. Another one. They're exercises that you can use to breathe through your back and try and teach yourself to sing that way. Okay? It's not easy, and you have to keep practicing and practicing to make sure you can do it. All right? Now, there's a lot to say about the mask. When people teach you to sing, they sometimes teach you to sing. You've got to sing the mask. You've got to be careful about this mask singing because you've got to sing straight out into your face. They teach you to sing to a point. Now, they call it projection. Now, I'm here to tell you there's no such thing as projection. You're not a rifle. You can't project. You can only allow the voice to go where it wants to go. This mask business is all right, but it does cause nasality, and you can't get the sound. Will not work in the back of your neck, and that sound's got to go to your cheeks, the back of your neck, and just not cause nasality, which it normally does if you sing in the nose. Okay? Now, igloo, igloo, the E in the igloo is what causes the most space at the arc of the palate. The E goes a little bit back, E, 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 and the R is completely throaty. So they're things that you have to learn as a singer. One more thing before we go. Tilting the larynx. They all say, oh, you must tilt the larynx. You've got to tilt the larynx. The larynx is tilted when you yawn. When you yawn, the larynx tilts, your throat opens, and that's got to be kept in that position when you sing. And you've got to keep repeating that every phrase you go through, okay? Now, you must not push the larynx down with pressure, like so. All you do is lock the whole thing up. When you yawn in a proper fashion, the larynx, once you get used to it, once you get practiced at it, will go down with the inhalation. That's how you sing. Now, I look forward to seeing you again soon, so in the meantime, have a good day and we'll see you later. Ron Lees here. If you'd like to go to the Ron Lees Master Voice Coach Facebook page, you'll find contact details of masterclasses, private lessons. So if you email or phone, someone from the office will contact you. Thank you, good luck and happy singing.